Hello. Hope everyone's doing well. Um, so I kind of want to go in a little bit more in depth on the intro um, of myself. As I had said before, my name's Danielle. I'm 35, wife, mom of three. But diving more into my personal, growing up, um, I am the oldest of all my siblings. Um, I have two brothers. This is with my mom and my dad together. Two brothers and two sisters. Um, my brother, I can't even tell you how far apart everybody is. But we're all, my brother is probably 33. My sister would have been 32 this year. And then I have my other brother who's pushing 30, I think. 30 in October this year. And then a younger sister who's getting up to 30. Um, My parents are divorced. They got a divorce when I was about 16, 17 years old. Um, and my parents together were not very good. There's a lot of issues growing up with them fighting and infidelity. And me being the oldest, I had to deal with I had to see a lot of it. Um, and I had to keep my mouth shut about a lot of it. I can remember as far back as being 5 years old, I think. Um, I remember my dad taking me and my brother, maybe, or even my sister. It might have been my sister and I. And we went with my dad to go visit his girlfriend while my parents were still married, and I think he took us to an amusement park and then we went back to her house and it just I knew it. Even at 5 years old, I knew something wasn't right. Um, and growing up, my dad continued to cheat on my mom a lot. Uh, but she did the same too. So I witnessed it from both sides. It caused a lot of pain, and pain not just for them, but for me and my siblings, and it was a lot. My father had a temper. He was abusive to my mother physically, verbally, um, and he even got to the point of being physical towards at least me. I remember being 15, 16, I think I was 16, and he basically punched me in the face, all because I had a, a crush on on an older guy. Um, but what teenage girl doesn't have that? Um, he left a nice welt, bruise, swollen half of my face. Um, so yeah, I had to deal with physical abuse as well. Um, and I'm kind of grateful my siblings were all too young to really remember anything. Um, I had to deal with my mom, and this is a very touchy subject for me because I love my mom dearly. But she struggles a lot with, I think, narcissism. Um, she was 15 when she had me. When I was born, she was 15 years old. I know that was a struggle for her. 2 years later, she's 17, she had my brother. And then 11 months later, she had my sister. So she had total six kids by the time she was 25. She had several of us. And she was a stay-at-home mom. My dad worked. He made decent money. He supported us. Um, but eventually, she got fed up with my dad cheating. I think she got bored being home because he traveled a lot. He traveled all over the country, he traveled all over the world, and I think she just had enough. And a lot of it happened when the internet started getting really big. You know, dial-up modem, AOL. Um, she would spend hours and hours on the internet talking to guys. She would have her friends, or one of her good friends, come over and take pictures, racy pictures of her in lingerie, and she was sending them to these men. And, I was old enough to see all of this. And I don't know if she really realized that I even knew any of this. And one time she had left us with my father, all of us kids, with my dad, so she could, I think she took a plane. She flew to Canada to go spend a week with another man. My dad didn't know what was going on. And then he discovered everything on the computer. My father took the computer out of the basement where she had it, took it to the garage, and gave hammers to, I can't remember if anyone, like my brothers or anything, were with us, but I remember my dad and I taking hammers and smashing this computer into 100 pieces because he was so angry about what she had done. But I didn't know any different. I just, I was frustrated with my mom for leaving us. Um, and I knew what my dad was doing was wrong too, but it never affected us quite as bad as when my mom did it. I think it's because she did it so blatantly right in front of us. Um, we definitely felt neglected sometimes. And I can't speak for my siblings. I just can speak for myself. Um, but neglected sometimes. There was one time she was talking to these guys in New York, and we had lived in Michigan at the time. And they decided to make the 14-hour drive. She invited these two men to our home while my dad was out of town for work. And when these guys arrived, I apologize, this is kind of a touchy subject for me, and it can be a trigger for some people. Um, but my mom took one of the men into her bedroom, and I don't even have to go into details for you to know what happened next. But she left me out in our living room with the other guy. And I was probably 11, 12 years old. And while my mom was in the bedroom with the one guy, the other guy was sitting on the couch next to me. And he started feeling up on me. I was scared to death. I was so scared. And I'm not going to go into details about what exactly he did, but that was enough to traumatize me. To this day, I don't think my mom knows what happened. Um, I con confided in one of my sisters about 3 years ago, and she had no idea. I struggle with that all the time. It definitely has affected the way that I have a relationship with men. Um, it causes a lot of problems, I think. Uh, and I never went to counseling or therapy or anything like that for this problem. Just kind of something I've dealt with, and I've kind of explained it to whoever I was with. Um, and one day maybe I'll tell her, but the person that she is, she would never believe me. She wouldn't even say what ever happened with her and that other guy. So, um, but yeah, it's really painful. Um, and as far as my dad, he, after my parents separated, got divorced when I was 16, he had actually met my stepmom in a chat room online while I was still married with my mom. Um, he went and got her pregnant, and they got married shortly after, once my parents' divorce was final. And not long after that, he started cheating on her too. And after about 10, maybe 12 years, he he separated from my stepmom too. He was traveling out of the country for work, and apparently his Russian translator became his new bride. Um, they now have two kids, two very small kids, and I don't really speak to my father. I haven't really had a relationship with him in over 5 years. The things that he has done, not only to my mom and to my stepmom, and it's too much. You don't even want to be associated to that person. And it breaks my heart because, of course, I love my parents, but after so many years of craziness, you learn to live without them, and life is more calm, more peaceful. My mom and I haven't spoken in about 2 years. Um, and that's going to be part of a whole nother video. Um, but yeah, uh, and infidelity, cheating, my parents definitely influenced the way that I have relationships. I don't think I could possibly go on living a lie like that if, cheating on my partner, my husband. There's just no way. I couldn't live with a guilty conscience. Um, it's just not right. If you're not happy with somebody, you need to just tell them, move on. Don't don't do that to them. All right. Well, it's getting dark outside, so I'm gonna go ahead and end this, and maybe I'll start with another topic tomorrow. Have a good night, guys.